can see actually how we learned to install and mount the electrical, the photovoltaic modules. And that's what we actually managed to achieve. We actually assembled and disassembled these pillars and the photovoltaic modules for several times. And now, colleagues, I'd like to share our experience of building and mounting our workspace, a venue for such skill. I'd like to ask our colleagues to give away to the camera so that we could perform a video tour.
Коллеги, вот сейчас меня видно, да?
Colleagues, can you see me? Not yet. And now I believe you can see me. So this is the venue for the skill. This workspace is built within one of the Moscow education facility, Moscow City Education Complex. The venue, the workspace consists of pillars and 4 photovoltaic modules and a switchboard on the right that actually performs all the work here. So we plan to keep training here, keep training us for the mounting the pillars, for installing the photovoltaic modules according to all the rules and regulations, commutating them to electrical switchboards, actually mounting and assembling the switchboard, and putting into operation, troubleshooting. So all of this courtesy of this facility. We will be actually to perform this training for a while. So this is the venue, but actually we have more than one training venue. At the moment, we have another training venue prepared on the facility, on the grounds, on the premises of a different education facility. This is an education facility called 26th Frame. And actually we pre-recorded a video on installation of mounting the pillars for solar plants that we are going to show you later. So please don't be surprised, because we actually recorded this video outside, and it's winter in Moscow, it's winter in Russia, and it was -15 when we recorded that video. But well, we had to do this, so we did this. So we assembled it outside. It was really cold and quite dark outside. So I'd like you to watch this video right now with me. But before we put on the video, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask.
Can I ask the question?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes, my question is how you simulate the power output inside the room. Do you have any arrangements for the replacing the sunlight? You are having some big lights or doing something?
Oh yes, I understand your question, but I will answer it in Russian, okay? Because there are some people not speaking English. У нас будет две солнечных электростанции смонтированы.
We will have installed 2 solar plants. One of them will be actually mounted inside the room, and it will have actually an additional light so that we will be able to use them. Unfortunately, at this moment, we are not able to demonstrate it, but we'll have a special light equipment. And another one will be mounted outside, where in the real conditions, in the real life conditions. But right now, of course, we have winter here, and we will be able to actually use it and take some parameters, take some measurements only when it's really good weather outside.
Я ответила на вопрос.
Have I answered your question?
Какие-нибудь разъяснения?
Or do you need any other?
Thank you for your question. Yeah, thank you. Сейчас мы запускаем ролик.
So right now we're going to turn on the video now. My colleague will be turning on the video now. I believe you can see the videos on the screens. This is our Russian winter. It's the premises of a different education complex. education facility. So the guys actually are mounting the pillars for solar plants, similar to the one that you have seen before. We bought the solar plant from a Russian company called Havel. Now, it's actually it's the largest manufacturer of standalone and hybrid power plants in Russia. So this one is a standalone power plant for households or for really small facilities. So I believe the video is being a bit slow. Can you see it well? Does it move on your screens?
Tieni vilket film la cámara ahí viendo. Yo tengo un cosa. Ah,
Данная опорная конструкция была любезно предоставлена для нас заводом.
So these mounting profiles was provided to us, as a part of a congress, as part of a competition, by one of Russian plants or one of Russian factories, and it's actually mobile. We were able to move it around the premises of the educational facilities, and we were able to test it within the different light and shade conditions. But of course, while Moscow winter is quite cloudy and shady, and it has its influence over the whole process.
Коллеги, вот мне тут подсказывают, что,
Dear
наверное,
colleagues, I was told that probably I need to tell something more about what we're doing here. As I said, these pillars are constructed here, are mounted here for us to perform a lot of trainings repeatedly. So that's not a one-time assembly. We are able to move it around the facility outside, and also we can change the degree, the number of the
мы
modules.
также можем отрабатывать навыки.
So this is a training equipment, the piece of training equipment for fast assembly, for reassembly of this of the power plant, depending on the conditions we're given. Because we are not yet clear as to what conditions will there be on the championship, on the competition. So you can see now that we have have the distance here actually according to the sizes of the guidelines of the rail guides, and the degree is also here already prearranged. So you see that the vertical pillars are now being mounted. We have 4 pillars. The 4 of them would be actually fixed. Would be fixed, and there would be 2 diagonal rakes, diagonal guides that using which we'll be able to change the angle of the modules.
Конструкция, которую мы собираем на улице,
So
абсолютно
you see that these module, what we're mounting here outside, is absolutely identical to the one to the solar panel that I demonstrated to you on our facility, educational facility indoors. So since we have two facilities, 2 venues completed at the same time, it actually allows us to have more competitioners, more participants to train on them. And it's also available not only to the national team participants, but to college students as well.
Отвечаю на вопрос по какой это металл.
Answering your question about the material, what we are assembling right now is steel. It's steel. The upper part that you will be seeing later, that would be aluminum.
Аналогичные конструкции применяются и при монтаже крупных объектов.
It's actually the same construction, the same materials that are used when mounting and installing a large large caliber devices.
Да, вы правы, так и есть.
Yes, you are right.
Коллеги, вот сейчас видно, что ребята выполнили монтаж верхних
So
направляющих.
as you can see, our guys have performed the installation of the guidelines that are actually parts of the aluminium. And they are answering a question about the steel and of the framework. Is it heavy? Yes, they are quite heavy. They are quite heavy. But we need the weight to have them solid on the ground. But it's not so heavy that we wouldn't be able to transport it. They are quite heavy, but it's handy. About the question of working on ice. Yes, we do have some special purpose shoes for that. But I mean, we actually had. We didn't have the snow on the forecast. We didn't know that it would be snowing. But actually, all our winter shoes are actually made specially to work on ice and snow. So in our case, we actually happen to have the shoes that are needed for such kind of operations.
Что касается вот как раз опорных конструкций, то
As to the framework, we actually, how we choose them. We chose them in a way that such framework that would be able to make it mobile, to make it easily mountable, but firmly standing at the same time, so that wouldn't collapse or find in strong wind. So that's why we chose the steel.
Вот сейчас ребята осуществляют монтаж,
So now
направляют.
you see our guys mounting the guides for the photovoltaic modules. And now I understood that unfortunately, when we were editing the video, we did not show you how to actually measure the levels at which the guides are positioned. Of course, we had to cut a bit of the video so that it wouldn't be too long. And unfortunately, I believe we happened to cut out the levels, the measuring equipment for correct positioning of the guides. And the photovoltaic modules would be installed directly on the horizontal guides that you see.
Вот сейчас один из участников заправляет специальные монтажные
So you
крепежи.
can see one of the participants installing the clamping and the fixtures and the locking pins that would be later used to actually fixing the modules.
Вообще, на самом деле, это большой вопрос о количестве участников потенциальных.
Generally, it's a big question of how many participants do we need for this skill. If from the point of view of WorldSkills International, there actually needs to be only one participant. But if we take a look of the amount of work and the fact that sometimes the photovoltaic modules are too big and too large and too heavy, and we won't be able to install and mount them just by one person. So there might be some differences about the number of people, number of participants. So if you have any opinions about how many participants can be potentially for that skill, within that skill, I'd like to hear your opinions. And I'd like also to know if you agree with the fact that the WorldSkills International skill, as it is now, is actually made for one participant.
Да, вот с точки зрения one helper или один помощник, да.
Yeah, about one helper, yeah, that might be a good point. Because, well, if we take a look at the WorldSkills International, we have different levels of participants. I believe that's a point for a discussion. And within our skills, within the forum, I'd like every one of us to raise this question, because for one person, and especially if we take into account the industry standards, well, this kind of work is rarely performed by just one person. And also, if we have we have girls participating. Well, from my experience, I mean, girls can do a lot. They can do no less. They can perform even more work than guys. But well, we do understand that. But I believe that we need to think about it, to think it through, and for the future. And so maybe we could make it into a team competition, into a team skill. So if I would be really, it would be really great to have a discussion with the current experts, world-class experts of what kind of layout, what kind of team or solo performances, solo skills. I would like actually to talk to my fellow experts. So this would be a great discussion because, well, in the industry, people don't work alone on such for such work. So yes, from the point of view of the skill, it is very important.
Вот эти солнечные панели, которые
So these solar panels that we're mounting now, they are about 20 kilos each.
ответ по поводу
Answering
ориентации.
the question about the orientation, well, like I said, this structure was actually developed by us when they already with taking into account the need to move it according to the light and the shades, light and shade conditions. So it is mobile. It can be moved within indoors and outdoors within the facility and outside where it's mounted right now. It can be assembled and disassembled in different ways. That's the way it is designed, so that we'll be able to use it for trainings. But it is made for training, but it is made absolutely in the same way, the same designs that real solar power plants were produced. We're not just training for the championship. We really want to educate and bring up good specialists that will be able to work on real facilities and will be able to perform operations in the real time, in the real life conditions, and sometimes in rather extreme, like outside in the snow.
Отвечаю на вопрос.
Answering the question about the specific angle for installation pillar, the angle for solar panel installation, it varies, is different, well, from region to region. Like for Moscow, the optimal angle is 50 degrees. But like I said, this training kit, this training piece of equipment allows us to set any angle of inclination. As you see on those aluminium guides, you can actually vary it, make really well. You can make a number of holes that will be able which would enable you to change the degrees, to change the angle. And if we give the competitors, if we give the competitors the tasks, they would be able to change the angles themselves.
Deputy chief expert.
And I'm really grateful for the comment on from the DCE in the competition. I'm really grateful for your opinion, for your comment. It would be perfect. It would be awesome if you would be able to actually raise your voice and ask for help as a mandatory requirement. And about the question to the size of the modules and the panels, the panels is the width 1 meter. The length is 1 meter 60 centimeters, and every panel, every module is 320 watt.
Вот, друзья, вы сейчас видите, что мы...
So, dear friends, we see this structure assembled and mounted. Unfortunately, it's not connected yet at this facility, but that's for the future. What else I'd like to add is that we plan on our venue, on our workspace, to make some sort of imitation simulation for on-roof solar plants. And another thing, at the moment, we're developing for this module, we're developing on how we actually the evaluation system, how we're actually going to evaluate it. Partially, now we'd be using the same the same evaluation schemes that are used for electrical installations and production automatics. What we understood is that in Russia that we really need to separate, to outline the unique skills and the so-called through skills, the skills that go through the whole processes for several future skills, to which we will be able to bring to use in bringing up the new specialists on base of the best practices of the existing educational facilities. And incorporate the skills that they already have. And another thing, well, I'm reminded that I forgot to tell you about the health and safety measures that all of them and all of us need to follow while installation and mounting the solar panels. Yeah, so we have a video for that. Yeah, so I'm now here. I believe you can see me. I believe I answered all the questions that you posed in the chat. I'll be back to the health and safety measures later, and about sharing the description and test projects, and of course I can share.
Так, я, конечно, с удовольствием поделюсь. Они у нас.
Of course I can share them. They are still mid-development, but after the new year, if you write me on my email or to the emails of the organizers of this event, of this Green Skills Camp, I believe that after the new year, we'll be having the description, the test projects, etc., the marking scheme, and I'll be able to share them and to discuss them with any and all persons interested. Because, well, for this skill, it is a very it's a document that can be altered, that can be redacted, that can be changed in the course of action. And all of your remarks, all of your comments, all of our interaction would be useful not only for bringing up the future champions, but also for the development of the industry as it is. So back to the safety measures. First of all, when carrying out installation work and working on equipment connected to this unit, we need to use insulated tools. So the tools that have insulation. And to reduce the risk of short circuits, it is forbidden to work with the photovoltaic modules while wearing metal jewelry. About the repairs to individual system devices, it can only be carried out in specialized service centers. An incorrect assembly of the device leads to a risk of electric shock. Also, if the module is exposed to sunlight, the module starts generating electric current, which can again cause an electric shock. Another thing we're reminded here that, well, in cold weather conditions, you cannot charge a frozen battery, charge the electric storage battery. And it's also forbidden to operate equipment in explosive or fire hazardous environment. Also, yes, explosive and fire hazardous environment. We must always use a specialized cable for all the commutations. All the devices should be connected to the common grounding system. which should be created on the grounds and following all the health and safety regulations and rules. It's also forbidden to short circuit the AC output and the DC input circuits of the inverter equipment. Now, the device must not be connected to the mains if the DC input is short circuited. Also, we must avoid connecting cable of different polarities because that can lead to short circuit and failure of the photovoltaic modules. So I believe these are the general safety measures that I wanted to share with you. And for the moment, I believe my presentation is over. So if you have any more questions, please, now is the time. Colleagues, are there any questions? Also, would like to remind you that tomorrow at the same time, we'll meet again and we'll tell you about installing and mounting the switchboards that actually allows us to control the solar power plant.
Question here. You hear me?
Yes.
Okay then. All right. So if it was a permanent structure, would you use bolts with the steel?
Я уже говорила, что основа данной конструкции стальные конструкции.
Well, like I said, the framework is steel, and the lower guides they are steel, and the upper guides they are aluminium. Was that an answer to your question?
No. All right. So I'm asking if it was a permanent structure, because I said that it is mobile, right? So if it was,
Yes,
if it is going to be there for forever, knowing that it is steel, would you use bolts as well to hold it firm or firmly?
So the truth, I do not understand your question. Потому что это
I don't seem to be understanding your question because this framework, it can be temporary and it can be permanent as well. I mean, if we fix it using some sort of basis, some sort of fundament, we can put it into concrete, and then it can be used as permanent. And the framework here are actually conducted, are produced based on the real life designs. If we go back to the first slides here, the picture on the left, you see the very same structure, but without the horizontal guides. So I mean that such steel frameworks are actually used on real-time facilities for solar power plants. The designs were taken from real-life facilities. But we a bit recreated them a bit so that we could use them several times to make it. We made it mobile and assemblable and disassemblable for several times, so that we could be using it for the trainings for the participants, for the competitors, and for students of the colleges where we have the venue. Because if we had to assemble a new one each time, that would be too expensive and we'll run out of space. Have I answered your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your interest. Yeah.
My name is Saiful. I have one question.
Yes.
How do you strengthen the structure of the platform for the solar panel for the usage of during the windy days or during the rainy season?
To tell the truth, they're heavy enough. Эта конструкция очень тяжелая.
The structure is quite heavy, as it is. It can be moved only if we disassemble it. But it is about 500 kilograms.
Более того, она находится внутри защищенного школьного двора.
Also, we have it outside here. We have it outdoors, but the education facility has walls even for the outdoor space. So there won't be strong winds there. And I believe we don't really have such strong winds or such strong rains that it will be taken off. Well, if we take a look at a real life objects, real life equipment, we should either put it into concrete for like real life power plants. Each plant, each part of piece of equipment like this is put into concrete. If we take a look on the picture on the left, you cannot see it, but all these pillars are actually put into concrete 1.5 meters below ground.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you for your interest. Any more questions? Я так понимаю, что сегодня мы уложились чуть
Well,
быстрее.
I understand that my understanding is that we actually went quite ahead of the time today.
Пока хочу напомнить вам,
And I'd like to remind you that tomorrow, at the same time, we'll be telling you about mounting the switchboard.
тоже можно будет задавать вопросы.
You'll be able to have ask questions. Maybe if you have some questions that you prepare beforehand, you can send them to the organizers in advance, and I will be preparing the answers in advance. Or maybe you'd like me to tell you something in more details. You can ask for that in advance. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow's discussions.
Дорогие коллеги, давайте,
So,
чтобы
dear colleagues, let us give thanks to Alexandra, our expert, for this webinar, for this lecture that was full of information. Are there any questions for the moment?
Так. Ну, пока вопросов нет. Если вопросов нет,
Well,
давайте
if we have none,
переходить к завершению.
let's get on to the very end. This is the last slide. This is our contact information for international at worldskills.ru. If you have any questions, like Alexandra said, if you have any questions, you can send us the questions in advance, or you can ask them tomorrow.
То есть после
And all the materials will be shared at the end of the Green Skills Camp. And which is the 15th of December. And also we are recording the Russian and the English version of the webinar, which you'll be able to see in our newsletter as well as on our YouTube channel. And well, like I said before, if you need your recordings in Chinese or in Spanish, we'd like to ask you to do that on your own. So take a look at if there's any question. Well, thank you for your feedback. And seems to be no questions for today. So see you tomorrow at the same time, 2 p.m. Moscow time. And let's continue our webinars on solar energy.
До свидания. До завтра.
See you tomorrow. Goodbye.
See you later. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.